Why is it over? Hello there, I'm Scotty. You're not. There's a spoon in there. There's not even any liquid in there. See, look. Welcome back to the Freddy Revisited series. I'm Scotty. You're not. We're taking a look at Wes Craven's New Nightmare. So, if Freddy's dead, Freddy's dead. They killed him off, and that's it, right? No, unfortunately, no. Well, not this one, but it just the way that this went about, just makes me think that they never actually intended Freddy's Dead to be the last one. Because even though they said Freddy's dead, that's it. They ended it. When the 90s, that was 91. So then they're like, okay, what do we do next? Well, you killed him off. But he's dead. No, it doesn't. No, they didn't care. They're like, yeah, but it still made money though. So let's make another one. So what do? They go to Wes Craven. They say, hey, look at all the movies that we did. Come up with a sequel. He looked at it and went, I don't know what the hell this shit is. I can't do anything with it. So I'm going to go with this idea that y'all turned down about 6 years ago, back when I was supposed to write the third one. Y'all told me it was too stupid. I'm sure he didn't use y'all. Y'all told me that it wasn't good enough, that it wasn't ready yet. Well, you know what? It's 1994, and we're doing it. I'm sure he didn't do that either. But yeah, so he came up with this concept of Freddy is trying to sneak into the real world and go after Heather Langenkamp. And, yeah. For some reason, this is always the one that I would find on TV late at night. As an adult, I would say AMC, it would have to be on AMC. I found this on AMC late night a lot of time, and I'd put it on. It's like after midnight, 1 or 2 in the morning, and it's on, and I just put it on, and, and I don't fall asleep watching it because I enjoy it so much. But watching it this time, I did find a few flaws. I felt that, well, particularly, one side of this was not fleshed out enough for me, and we'll get to it. I've always kind of felt that, but watching this time, I really felt it. It's just like, why are we... I understand that Heather's the main character, but we're focusing everything on her. But what about the other side of that, right? We'll get to it. So, the story begins as it began in the original, with someone making a glove. I didn't mention that in my review, but it does start with Freddy making his glove, put it together. Not just with Tina running, but I don't know. I guess I didn't think it was important enough to talk about, but they're doing it here. It's a brand new looking glove. And it's the special effects guy. It is Heather's husband, Chase, and it's actually based off her real life husband, who was offered the role and said, no. So it went to this actor. The actor, I don't know the name. But even he said he didn't think he fit the role because apparently, according to him, special effects guys are fat with long hair. Really? Tony Gardner? Were you talking about John Carl Biegler? Because he was a little heavy set with long hair. But not everyone. Tony Gardner's not fat. He's a well-fit looking dude. But that was later. I don't know. And even Kevin Yeager, pictures I saw of him, he wasn't fat. Right? Stan Winston, he do the ponytail. He wasn't fat. He had long hair, but I don't know. Anyway, so he's making this glove, and we see that also their son, Dylan, is there, played by Miko Hughes, the star of Dylan's New Nightmare. Check that out. Although, watching this and thinking of that, I'm thinking, it works. That works as a sequel to this, but is it in Dylan's New Nightmare? They say that's actually Freddy, right? Whereas in this one, it's not. I don't know. I don't know. But so they're making the glove, and the glove takes on a life of its own and kills two of the other special effects guys, Terry and Chuck. And then murdered. But then it's all a dream as Heather wakes up in an earthquake because California, am I right? And they wake up, and Chase has cut two of his fingers suspiciously, the same fingers he cut in the dream. Yeah. And she's worried about that because, oh, it was a dream, it's fine, it's an earthquake. The earthquake must have messed you up, that whole thing. So he goes off to work somewhere, she doesn't say, and she's got some kind of interview thing that she's going to, or, yeah, an interview thing. So she brings in the babysitter Julie, played by Tracy Middendorf, of the Scream TV series and the first episode of Angel. Yeah. She's a pretty good actress. She's all right. She's good in this. But she catches, like, Heather catches Dylan watching Nightmare on Elm Street on TV. And the movie keeps playing throughout the film. And she keeps, like, I'm assuming they don't have a crumb or something, a copy of the movie. And she says they keep playing on cable, and people keep on looking at her like, it's not playing on cable? So is what's going on with Freddy putting that on the TV, or I don't know. She's also getting phone calls, which actually happened to Heather Langenkamp in real life. She was getting stalked by a stalker, and she's getting weird phone calls. And I'm sorry, but it's obviously Robert Englund trying to do a Freddy voice. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. How does she not know? At least that's what it sounds like. I don't know. We'll get to it. But yeah, just 1, 2, Freddy's coming. 1, 2. Hung up. Freddy's coming for you. And call back. And yeah. And she's getting letters and literal letters. Yeah, and yeah. And I love how she yells at the phone, and the guy's like, limo service, ma'am. And yeah, so she gets in the limo, she goes to this thing. There's an interview, and this interviewing guy, the host of the show, whatever it is just bombarding her with these questions. Oh, your husband, he's specialized special. Yeah. You have a son? Yeah. You have any children? 1 son. Oh, son, yes. How old is he? He's 8 or whatever it was. Oh, yes. Does he watch your movies? I'm like, dude. He's like, well, would you trust him around your co-star? You mean Robert? I'm like, what are you implying? That Robert Englund can't be trusted with children? Oh, well, they'll find out. And Robert Englund comes out dressed in his makeup, the Freddy Krueger stuff. And it's still weird. I know it was in the first one, but it's weird that you hear Robert Englund's actual voice. You're all my children now, instead of this. You know, it's not modulated. So he comes out, and the most unrealistic thing happens. We cut, and she's signing autographs, and he's signing autographs, and he comes out, and he's like, oh, hey, and I'm like, no, wait a minute. Robert Englund is on record for saying that makeup took so long to take off. By the time he was done, it only took maybe 1 or 2 hours to put on and take off. Even if that is the cheapest makeup you could do, and it looks pretty good for cheap-ass makeup, there's no way he would already be out of the makeup chair and ready to talk to her right after the show like that without makeup on. Bullshit. But she gets a call to come down to New Line Cinema to talk to Bob Shea, my favorite person in the entire world. And he's like, hey, Wes wants you to star in a definitive Nightmare movie. She's like, well, I thought you cut him off. And he's like, well, we've got to have money. No, he's like, well, you know, basically that's what he said. Well, you know, we made money off of that one, so let's make another one, a definitive one. He's like, well, Wes is having nightmares again, which is how this whole thing started. And he's writing a new script. He wants you to play Nancy one last time. She's like, no, I have a son now. I can't do that. No. And her son has to go out of, her husband has to go out of town on business because Chuck and Terry mysteriously did not show up for work, so he has to go out of town to do it. And So things are going on with Dylan. Eventually, she called her husband and said, "You have to come home. You have to come home. I can't deal with this anymore." He's like, "Fine, I'll be there in 3 hours." What was the cinema stops joke? You're 2 blocks away, or whatever. Yeah, 3 hours. I'll be there in 3 hours. And when you hear that, you're like, oh, dead. He's dead. And not only dead, he's Dan dead. Like he's driving home. He falls asleep. We see Freddy likes to tickle the balls. Literally, he goes up and he goes. He's like, ugh. And Freddy's hand comes out in a bad CGI effect. Gets him. And like the cops are right there very quickly. I mean, it cuts to the next scene. She's putting her son to bed, and then the cops are at the door. I'm like, wow, that was quick. It was like, your husband died in a car accident. They don't say died, and I've been through personal experiences with this. When I was in high school, a lifelong friend of mine, someone that my grandma used to babysit, died in an accident. She was on a scooter without a helmet, coming up an intersection, car hit her. I came home from school and my mom said it word for word. It's Kelsey. It's her name. I'm not saying her name. Sorry. It's her. It's her. She's been in an accident. Is she okay? No. She's passed away. They do it here too. Like your husband. He's been in a car accident. He fell asleep at the wheel. They're like, look, is he hurt? And they're like, no, I'm sorry, he passed away. And he died. And I'm like, why didn't I just say your husband died in a car accident? I can get maybe my mom was trying to soften the blow. Maybe they were too. But I don't know. It just feels, I don't know. It just makes Heather look stupid for not thinking it at first. But they have to ever come in and come into the coroner's office to look at. By the way, W. Earl Brown, who played Kenny, who go on to play Kenny in Scream, is the coroner. And he says, as coroner, I must confer, I've thoroughly examined, I thoroughly examiner, whatever, that he's not only merely dead, he's really most sincerely dead. This is not the Wizard of Oz. No, he has her check it, and then she notices something, and he's got the claw marks. The Freddy claw marks, 4 of them. Even though this glove, there's an inconsistency with that. They keep showing 4 claw marks on some people, right? But he's got 5 claws because they gave him a 5 claw thing. But they only show 4. Because that's the signature of Freddy Krueger. Then what's the point of giving him 5 if they're not going to use 5, though? I don't know. But she sees that, and they're like, oh, that's just from the car accident. What car accident does that to you? I don't know. But we go to his funeral where we get cameos from Tuesday night of Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and Jesus Garcia, or Nick Corey, which was his name. I don't remember it, but I looked it up. He's credited as Nick Corey here, I guess. Rod. And it feels like Rod was inserted later because you only see him by himself for the shots, but like, yeah, they're there. You gotta look for them. John Saxon. It's just weird. This makeup guy, who is Heather's husband, is being buried. John Saxon, Robert Englund, and his wife, Jesus Garcia, Tuesday night, the babysitter, they're all there. I think Bob Shea and Wes Craven are also there. I'm like, okay, I get they knew him, and it was revealed that he was working on the new Nightmare movie, even though Heather hadn't even said yes yet. He was working on the new glove. Confusing. Can I ask, what the hell is going on with the kid in this movie? It's the one thing that I've never been able to figure out. Why is he waking up, doing the Freddy voice, walking around with the... I mean, the thing with the knives was a dream, but he's like, never sleep again. Why is he doing all that? You're thinking, is he possessed by Freddy? I mean, this is done better than anything in a Dream Child when it comes to that aspect, but like, why? It's like Freddy's warning her, but not really? Why? I never got it. Is he possessed? What? I don't know. They say, oh, he's a sleepwalker. So the sleepwalking is it's connecting to the nightmares he's having of Freddy, and they're making him do that. I don't know. But she meets with Wes, who talks about the movie again. Maybe this might even be before the death. She meets with him. He's like, he says some lines, and then it's revealed it's on his monitor that he's been typing out. This is after, yeah, because she speaks with Robert Englund at one point. That's later, but like he offers him over to it, and she's like, no, I don't want, and so she walks off, and so after, with everything happening, she meets with John Saxon at the park, so that Dylan can play around on the toys while they talk. I get that play around on the toys, play around on the jungle gyms while they talk, and while they're talking, you see Dylan is going up to the tippy top of the tallest thing and going like this. Well, he falls, and miraculously Heather catches him. She should play baseball. Because that was the biggest save I've ever seen. Are you okay? Are you okay? And then she talks to Robert Englund on the phone. Like, what do you know about this script? How far is he in writing it? And this is when Robert Englund says, he said, are you done? He says, we talked to Wes, and he says, as far as Dylan trying to talk to God, which is what just happened. So it's like the movie is writing itself out. So with all this stuff going on, they end up taking Dylan to the hopsicle. And this is where we get nurse bitch number 2. These doctors are the worst doctors ever. Period. Not only do they not seem to really care about Dylan's welfare, they immediately start to blame Nancy for abuse, despite there not really being that much proof. Sure, you see like the marks on his arms and stuff, and they immediately suspect her, but I don't think we needed that subplot in there, to be honest. But like, they won't let Julie in, and Heather shows up, and they're like, oh, Mrs. Langenkamp, blah, blah, blah. They put him in an oxygen tank for some reason, and then she falls asleep. She has another nightmare, and then wakes up all frantic, which does happen with nightmares, but they automatically judge her for that. And so she freaks out because her son's not there, which is a normal thing to do. She's like, they're like, we think you should go home, Miss Langenkamp. She goes, okay, I'm going to go home and I'm going to get the knife and I'll be right back. Rex, he needs Rex. And as she goes to leave, she tells Julie, hey, don't let them inject him with anything. Don't let them give him anything, any sedation, anything. Which means no medication, right? So she goes to leave and security grabs her because the dumbass nurse Dr. Bitch thinks that she's a Dr. Bitch number 2 thinks she's schizophrenic and crazy or whatever. Despite there not being, I know she talks about Freddy here and there. By the way, during the conversation with Wes, I forgot, he explains that this is not Freddy. It's some evil force that has been, and this is something that I never really cared for. It's not Freddy. It's an evil force that has been kept at bay by making movies of him. Movies about him as Freddy Krueger. And now it's coming back through to our reality because they stopped making the Freddy movies. By that description alone, even after the end of this, they could do another sequel. Because they have to keep making these for it to, Does a Freddy vs. Jason, the remake, help, I guess? If I were this Freddy god, the remake would piss me off. That's not me, bitch. Anyway, by the fact that I like Jackie Earle Haley in that role. But anyway, on my nose again, hold on. Excuse me. So, after they take Heather away, they immediately try to administer a sedative to Dylan, despite of what Heather just said, and Julie saying that Heather said not to do that. They distract Julie and inject him anyway, and their ass is going to get sued as soon as this whole movie is done. Because you cannot administer any kind of drug, medicine, or any kind of sedative like that without the parents' permission, which they clearly did not have. So Heather can now sue their asses in court for doing that. Because she gave no permission for her child to be given any drug at all. And I know she's already rich, but she can get all that money and be, how did William Fichtner put it? Stupid rich. Like, really stupid rich. Yeah, I'm just saying. But, yeah. So, there's a lot of homages to this because they asked for a pass. She's like, screw your pass. Like I said, Chase's kill is pretty much Dan's kill without the motorcycle thing. And Julie, she's killed a Latina on the roof in what is probably the best kill of the movie besides the dream one at the beginning, I would say. She brought up something, that, yeah. And then Dylan is just gone. And they make a discussion, they had a discussion earlier about, well, how do you get to the home? It's over the freeway. So now, as Dylan's a sleepwalker, they're like, oh, they sedated him. He's not going to get far. He's a sleepwalker, you idiot. Which they should have known, because probably on file, they're freaking doctors. See why I say they're the worst doctors in the world? They can't even read their file. He's a sleepwalker. So he's sleepwalking across the street, and with the Freddy messing with him the whole time. There's not a lot of Freddy in this. Not a lot of Freddy. Oh, I forgot to mention the scene, because I'm going to go off. Okay? There's a scene in which Heather calls Robert. It's the scene where he finds out about Wes and that thing. And she asks if they can meet, and he goes, oh, I don't know, it's not the right time. And later when she calls him again, there's a message saying they're out of town. Something that crossed my mind during these scenes, particularly the scene where she's talking to him and he's actually painting a portrait of Freddy, is why don't we see the other side of this? We focus on Heather this entire movie, which I get it, it's her movie. But why aren't we watching? Wouldn't it be something to see a movie from Robert Englund's point of view as he's slowly starting to turn into Freddy, his transformation, and knowing he doesn't want to do this but will become Freddy and have to do this? Wouldn't it be something to see the two sides of the coin there? Will we only focus on Heather? And it made me think, it would be so cool if we could see that side. Obviously something's going on there. And he knew something was going on, which is why he wanted to go him over. And I don't know why she doesn't think of it, especially after she becomes Nancy and John becomes Lieutenant Thompson and everything, where she doesn't think, oh, that's Robert. And she's the only one that's conscious in this world, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah. So she finally gets to Dylan. They get home. And she calls John Saxon. Hey, I need your help. And he shows up. And he starts calling her Nancy. And then he's magically in his costume from the first one. And then her house turns into the house from Nightmare on Elm Street. This makes no sense because they're still in California. I don't know. And so she has to follow these sleeping pills. By the way, there's way too many sleeping pills that she takes. She'd be dead. Into this world because she read Hansel and Gretel to him. With the children's ending where the two kids, they beat the witch, throw her in the oven and cook her, right? That's not how the fairy tale goes. She cooks and eats those children. Yeah. And even if they did escape, I guess the whole thing is they use the breadcrumbs to get back, right? That's the children's version. But the actual version, yeah, she eats those kids. Yep, they're dead. Because Grimm, he don't give a shit about happy endings in his stories. I'm just saying. In their stories, Brothers Grimm, they don't give it. They don't give a shit about it. You know what I mean? So they get this giant oven thing, and Freddy's there, and he has like a demonic look. And of course, he gets locked in the oven, he gets fried to death, which I know. So the only thing that makes sense with Freddy dying by fire here is that it's not actually Freddy, because there ain't no way, except for when Freddy versus Jason tries to explain. Oh, Jason died by water, Freddy by fire. Maybe we can use that. The Jason water thing, sure, but he's not really, because he's walked through water before, even though the writers of Freddy vs. Jason didn't know that. But I don't know. It just, the fire wouldn't hurt Freddy, but this is not actually Freddy. It works. It also is way too obvious how it's going to happen once they go through that story. It's like, so that's how, because I'm watching this and I hear that story, I'm like, oh yeah, it's kind of obvious how it's going to end, though. What do I know, though, right? Yeah. So they're safe, and they're back home, and the script is just right there. And there's a note from Wes saying, thanks for having the guts to play Nancy one more time. And then she reads the story to the kid because he wants her to. You just went through all this, and how do you know that reading it is not going to activate it again and it's going to start all over? And how, by the way, if she's reading that and she gets far enough, she's like, wait the kid will be like, wait a minute. This is what happened to us. Right? Because you want to read the dad's death to the kid, right? That's what you want to do. But I digress. This is a good movie. It's well done. It's one of those, like I said, it was on TV. I'm going to put it on. I'll have it on. Because it's really well done. Wes Craven had something, and if it wasn't for this movie, we wouldn't have Scream. And that is 100% the truth. Because it's because of the meta humor in this, the meta-ness of this one, that Wes then had the guts to go ahead and deliver Scream to us. Even though he wasn't 90 directed at first, but you know what I mean. They wouldn't have thought of him had this not happened. So yeah, we only got 2 left now. So pretty good. I gotta give a score. So we only got 2 left now. So what are your thoughts on Wes Craven's New Nightmare? And no comments, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.